this race already have gone Patrick Tombe, Stefan Johansson, Jonathan Palmer in the Zach Speed, Elio De Angelis, Nigel Mansell, Rosberg and Alio.
Well, I've just been looking at the clouds. The weathermen said now, 3 o'clock, for thunderstorms and such like. It's got a little bit darker, but the clouds still look quite high at the moment, so it doesn't look as if we're going to get a cloudburst immediately, but we are in stormy weather and it could brew up pretty quickly. And I'm quite sure that the drivers will be taking a lot of interest in the visor. That's the first sign you get that it's raining. You see it splashing on your visor, and I'm quite sure that experienced drivers like Prost and Ayrton Senna will be not only looking at their visors, they'll be looking at the clouds and keeping themselves well ready for the rain.
And if the race does have to be stopped, it's reached a point now where they would normally restart it and declare the race in the end on the aggregate time of the two parts, and the second part would run whatever distance was necessary to make up the full race distance of 66 laps. However, that's academic. Here is Senna going through. That is Prost in the red and white McLaren, who's got ahead of one of the arrows, and the gap is 4.8 seconds. It's a little less than shown there because I've just worked it out as they went through, and Niki Lauda is indeed in third place. So the Marlboro McLarens are first and third. That is Prost in second place. The Marlboro McLarens are second and third. My apologies to Ayrton Senna. Andrea De Cesaris is still fourth, Piquet fifth, Alboreto sixth, and Warwick is seventh now.
As I said a few laps ago that we should keep an eye on the gap between Niki Lauda and Ayrton Senna, and the gaps remain pretty static. It was some 24 seconds then, and it still is now. Of course, it can be a little bit distorted by traffic because the leaders are now in amongst the back markers, so the leader gets held up first, then he gets clear, and somebody else gets held up afterwards. But we will keep reporting to you on that gap. But it does look as if the race has settled down pretty much. Prost, although he's catching Senna, or when he has a clear run he does, he's not catching him very fast or very much, so I don't anticipate. You see, he's in sight, but he's been for some time. Now, Prost is the second of these two cars, so he can see Senna on the circuit, but they're pretty evenly matched, and so is Lauda behind them.
And you'll notice as we watch the Brabham of Mark Sura, who is in 10th place, being lapped by the second place man Alain Prost, that we haven't said much about Michele Alboreto, who is, after all, leading the World Championship in the Ferrari. Well, he's in sixth position as Senna comes down the Hangar Straight at close on 185 miles an hour. Prost now in second place with nothing except the course between him and the race leader. And Senna is coming up to Gerhard Berger's Arrows. That's the buff and brown car there. Gerhard Berger, the Austrian driver, who, if anything, is quicker in the Arrows team. And there is Alboreto. Alboreto, the World Championship leader, is in sixth position, some 52 seconds behind Ayrton Senna, but only about 3 or 4 seconds behind Nelson Piquet, who's in fifth place.
Interesting, the Ferrari situation. They were going very, very well early in the year. Got enough to put Michele Alboreto into the lead of the World Championship. But over the last couple of races, they seem to have lost their way a little bit. They did a very strange thing for a team of their experience and professionalism in the French Grand Prix by turning up to a Grand Prix to do some testing. They arrived with a new front suspension, which was not a success, and they seem to have lost their way ever since then. They got rid of it after the Friday practice in France, put the car back to the old specification, but they never, from that moment on, they really seem to have been a little bit in the wilderness, and this is being shown by Alboreto's form here. He's been quick, but he's never really been fully competitive, and he's clearly struggling a bit now. However, don't count Alboreto out of the race yet. Remember, Ferraris probably have the best reliability record in the business, and the chances are that he will be there at the end, even if he's not very quick. and we'll be able to pick up a few places as other people retire.
So watch Alboreto catching Piquet and listen to Barry Gill talking to Keke Rosberg.
Keke, a very disappointing race after such a magnificent practice. What happened?
In the beginning, I was able to hang on to Senna, but then if I would have kept his speed, I would have been destroying my tires. So it was better to sort of run my own pace, and everything was looking good. And then I think a turbo or something like that failed.
But very disappointing after two such good races.
Had to happen one day.
Keke, thanks for talking to us. Back to you, Murray.
Keke Rosberg is such an incredibly pragmatic realist. It doesn't matter whether he wins or retires. He takes it all in his stride. And now Prost is taking this in his stride. 1 minute 10.9, another lap record. And the speed is going up and up, 148.8 miles an hour, as Alain Prost, number 2 in the Marlboro McLaren, strains to catch the race leader, Ayrton Senna, and Alboreto has now gone up into 5th place ahead of Nelson Piquet, as we'll see as they complete this lap, I'm sure. Prost going through. There's Senna. Now you can see the gap for yourself as Prost has yet to catch and take Gerhard Berger. Niki Lauda is still 3rd. De Cesaris is still 4th. Up to 5th has gone Alboreto, and Piquet has gone down to 6th position. Derek Warwick is 7th. Lafitte is 8th. And if the leaders have lapped everybody up to Jacques Lafitte, the 8th place man, and we're waiting for the rain with trepidation. I was talking to a couple of Australian friends this morning who could not believe that it could be so bright and sunny as it was, and yet possibly rain in the afternoon. And I said, well, I fear you may soon see, and I fear that Ayrton Senna is soon going to have, I fear from his point of view, Alain Prost on his gearbox, because Senna has got to take a couple of tail-enders now. And there we are, 148.85 miles an hour as Prost comes through to complete lap 30, and lap 33 is the half-distance lap, and the gap between Senna now as he goes into a new lap and Prost is down to 2.2 seconds. And Senna has got in front of him Jacques Lafitte in the Ligier and Derek Warwick in the Renault to lap them.
Yes, a very uncomfortable moment for Senna. He's come up on a gaggle of 3 slower cars just when he didn't need to, because Prost is now beginning to loom in his mirrors. You get quite a good view in the mirrors of a Grand Prix car. It's pretty much like your own road car at home and driving on the normal road. So Senna will, every time he glances in his mirrors, will have a nasty, unpleasant experience. Dear, oh dear. And really, they should have let Senna go, and that's brought Prost right up to them.
Yes, Senna got past Warwick, but Lafitte was watching Warwick, and I don't think saw Senna, and so there is the Brazilian. And now, is he going to get past Lafitte into the chicane? If he does, it'll get, yes, he takes his opportunity. Lovely bit of passing, and that's given him a break, a small break, ahead of Alain Prost, who is still behind Lafitte, but not for very much longer, because he's going to take him before he gets to Copse, and the gap is 1.5 seconds.
Lafitte was a bit busy with his own battle then, but as soon as he saw and realised that it was the leaders lapping him, he let both of them go, got well out of their way. He let Senna through before the chicane. He then waved Prost by as they went out of the chicane, but I was going to say the damage is done, but it's inevitable. And Prost has definitely been catching Senna, and he was going to catch him sooner or later anyway. A little bit of help from the back markers, but that's inevitable. But of course, it's the old story again. He can, one thing to catch him, a much more difficult thing to be able to find a way round. So Prost is within a lap or two now, will be in a position to attack.
And now Senna and Prost just behind him have lapped everybody up to the 6th place man, Nelson Piquet, and they are on their 32nd lap out of 66 as they come into Woodcote, and this is going to be soon Prost's chance.
In the meantime, Niki Lauda, who you remember is into 3rd place, is holding station with the two leaders, but not really making much impression. He's 21 seconds adrift, so he's pulled 3 seconds, but that may well have been caused by the traffic. And remember that, of course, the cars that these two have just lapped, Lauda still has to lap, so he's going to lose a bit of time.
Only 2 of the top 6 in the World Championship are running at the present moment. Those 2 being Michele Alboreto, who is in 5th position, and Alain Prost, who you've been looking at in 2nd place, because out of the race from the top 6 in the World Championship, with Prost getting ever closer to Senna, are De Angelis, Rosberg, Johansson and Tombe. And Alain Prost, the diminutive little Frenchman, who really does not look strong enough to control an 850 horsepower in race-trim Formula One car, is driving as ever a magnificently smooth and controlled race. He'll catch Senna.